I got to spend many hours with him over many months, and he does describe himself as an introvert. But I found him charming and actually quite revealing. If there are two words I'd use to describe Daniel, it's unlikely and unconventional. I think that applies to his company, Spotify, also. You know, this is a company that came out of nowhere, right? No one expected a small company out of Sweden to change the global music industry. And now it's got a $30 billion valuation. Right, it's up $4 billion from its initial offering, which was itself unconventional as a direct listing. What makes Daniel and Spotify so interesting is that the uncertainty that was part of its early days is, if anything, just as intense today. Right, they are successful as a public company, but now they're going up against the world's most voracious competitors, right, against Apple and Google and Amazon. And Daniel recognizes this, and in the way he operates the company, he is preparing it for operating in that kind of environment. And I'll give you just one quick example. He hires people, his key leaders are hired for a tour of duty, what he calls a mission, for 2 years, right? And at the end of 2 years, they have to re-up again. And if they don't both agree that it's the right fit and the right time, they're gone. And he says his top leaders rarely last more than 2 of those cycles, which means this idea of change is constantly embedded in the culture of the company, and at the same time, high performance, obviously. High performance and high creativity all the time through the organization.
It's interesting you say that, because from a management perspective, I mean, the idea that there's this near constant turnover within the sort of more senior leadership ranks, and the fact that that's a good thing and sort of spurring the company forward is very contrarian to what we've heard in terms of other companies when you see changes.
I think Daniel has a recognition that the companies that he's competing with and the environment that we're in right now, and I think this is difficult for a lot of companies, but that they have to move at a different kind of pace. That what was considered innovation a few years ago is now table stakes, and you have to be that much better, right?
Long term, what do you think happens to Spotify? Is it remain an independent company? Does it try to turn into a music video service? Does it turn into something else completely?
I think it remains.
Because music on its own, as attractive as it is, and I think Daniel's built a remarkable business, I just wonder if Apple gets into video, if Netflix ever decides to get into music, Amazon clearly is doing all of it. Does it become harder to do the silo?
I think it's hard, but at the same time, music is something that, you know, we all love music. It's a service that we all want to use all around the globe. So there is a real core passion around it in a way that you may not have as much passion for some of the things you watch on video, the way you might have passion for what you're listening to all the time. And recognize that Spotify started by succeeding against a free product, right? Pirating, essentially. He had to create something that was a good enough experience that you would pay for something that otherwise you could get for free. And that philosophy is what they believe will allow them to beat the competitors that are coming at them. So far, they've been successful. Whether that continues over the long run, is a different story. He sees a very broad marketplace of music operating where he sees Spotify's competition being, or Spotify's model being, more like YouTube than it is like Netflix, which is a really interesting and surprised me a little bit. Sort of getting musicians from all around the world to be able to contribute their music and have all of that ecosystem happen and empower it through the Spotify platform.
You know, we talk a lot about Facebook, even Twitter, and sort of these debates that are going on at these companies around things like misinformation, self-policing around the type of information that's on their sites, what they censor, whether they censor, et cetera. That's playing out at Spotify as well.
They've had some start and stops with this. They had some issues with R. Kelly that they tried to. Now they just took InfoWars off of their podcasts. I do think this is one of the topics for corporate America right now. I know, we're talking a little bit about ingenuity today, right? The performance with purpose was part of what she built her strategy around, and it was sort of poo-pooed, but it ended up providing at least some strong results for Pepsi, certainly compared to its competitive set. These are challenges for all business leaders right now.